Land acknowledgement. As we gather together, we acknowledge the sacred land on which we reside. It has been a site of human activity for 15,000 years. This land is the territory of the Huron-Wendat and Petun First Nations, the Seneca, and most recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit River. The territory was the subject of Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Iroquois Confederacy and Confederacy of the Ojibwe and allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Today, this gathering place is still the home of many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work in the community on this territory. We are also mindful of broken covenants and the need to strive to make right with all our relations. Last but certainly not least, we acknowledge the people of African descent who were brought here against their own will or in search of a safe place to live their lives and raise their children. Reconnaissance des terres. En nous rassemblant, nous reconnaissons la terre sacrée sur laquelle nous résidons. C'est un site d'activité humaine depuis 15 000 ans. Cette terre est le territoire des Premières Nations Huron-Wendat et Petun, les Scéniques et plus récemment les Mississaugas de la rivière Crédit. Le territoire était sujet de l'alliance de la ceinture Wampum plat avec cuillère, un accord entre la Confédération Iroquois et Confédération des Ojibwe et des nations alliées à partager et à prendre soin pacifiquement pour les ressources autour des Grands Lacs. Aujourd'hui, ce lieu de rassemblement est toujours le foyer de nombreux peuples autochtones de toute l'île de la Tortue et nous sommes reconnaissants d'avoir la possibilité de travailler dans la communauté sur ce territoire. Nous sommes également conscients des alliances brisées et de la nécessité de nous efforcer de guérir toutes nos relations. Dernier point, mais non le moindre, nous remercions les personnes d'ascendance africaine qui ont été amenées ici contre leur volonté ou à la recherche d'un endroit sûr où vivre leur vie et élever leurs enfants.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is doing fantastic. How is everyone doing today? I see Stephen and Javon and Diane. If you can just, thank you for that wave, Stephen. Very nice of you. Now, for those of you who don't have your cameras on, feel free just to put in the chat, let me know how you're doing. So happy to see you. I'm so glad that you've joined today at the BBPA at Ask a Professionals. How is everyone doing? I'm just trying to access my chat, actually. Just bear with me a moment here. Everyone is doing well. Can we see the chat? Bear with me. There you go. I had my computer updated today, so actually it looks actually quite different, but everyone, great. Okay, that's that Tony. Is that you, Tony, saying yep? Okay, let me acknowledge the chat. Okay, so Michelle Ann, good to see you. Stephen again, Marjorie, and of course, Stephanie. So glad to have each and every one of you. I'm not sure where you're joining from, but I'm currently in Niagara Falls, Ontario, so I'm not too far from the border. Apparently there was an earthquake recently. I didn't feel it, thank God. The earthquake was in Buffalo. I didn't feel it, but I'm glad to have all of you. Now, we are going to be having a very relevant discussion today with an amazing and excellent gentleman, Mr. Good Vibes. I'm going to introduce him in a few moments, but before I do that, I do hope that you will just share the link. The information that we're sharing today, I know that it will be useful not just to yourself, but to your community, the people around you, your business, right? And just how we do life going forward. So as I please invite, let me see if we can just share the link. Victoria, maybe we can get the link in there, have your friends and colleagues join. Thank you so much for that, Victoria. And I hope that you are prepared. If you, maybe, I don't know if you need notes. Tony, do they need notes or anything like that, like to take notes per se?
It's being recorded, but I would take notes. This is going to be interesting.
Yes, perfectly. So please do grab your pens and grab your pads. We are going to take notes today. You're going to learn a lot from this amazing Tony. He's 24 years old and he is the CEO of a multi-million-dollar tech and software company. His personal brand, as you heard me speak about him before, is Mr. Good Vibes. Now, Mr. Good Vibes is like an older brother that reassures younger individuals, teens and tweens, that they can successfully accomplish anything that they put their minds to. Now, Mr. Good Vibes has created such a movement in Miami that the mayor noticed his positive movement and they created and named February the 15th, Mr. Good Vibes Day in Miami. Isn't that cool? Like seriously, we haven't heard from him as yet, but if you can just use the reactions and give a virtual virtual applause for this incredible young man. So this is, we're tech talking, right? We're talking about tech. And we've been doing that. We started last week. We introduced technology to you. And we had an incredible gentleman come and speak about introducing technology to Black entrepreneurs and the importance of it. Today, we'll be speaking with Mr. Good Vibes here. And if you can just join me on the screen, I mean, I'd love to just hear from you, let the audience members hear from you about the incredible work that you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the introduction. Thank you for everyone for being here. And anyone who's seeing this post-production, thank you for listening. But yeah, I'm Mr. Good Vibes. My real name is Tony Downey. As Moya was mentioning, 24-year-old CEO of Jobify right now. And Jobify is a mobile app that helps young people get started with their careers. Anything they want to get into, we provide entry-level work and we work from there. But today's going to be interesting. Moya, I'm following your lead here. Let me know if I should pull up
no, that's good. So what we'll do, I know you do have a presentation, right, Tony? So we'll load up the presentation. And again, the presentation, I think, is quite short. There's a few slides in there, but we welcome any questions. Please put your questions in the chat. We're willing, or Tony is willing rather, to just answer your questions as we go along, okay? So put your questions in the chat and get ready because you are certainly in for a treat. Go ahead, Tony.
Awesome. Okay, I saw in the chat Ryan Knight. What's up, my man? Good to see you here. But demystifying AI. All right, so today, I'm not going to complicate things. Today, I want to be very simple. AI, artificial intelligence, right? You might have heard a lot of things going around, maybe some viral clips on LinkedIn, wherever. There's a lot of talk about this right now and a lot of money being thrown into the space. So specifically for anyone listening today, I want to let you know that over 10% of all venture capital funding has been going to AI projects last year. Now, as it's become more viral, that number is probably going to double. So there's a lot of money in the space, whether you're an entrepreneur, an employee, entrepreneur, whatever you have going on. If you could find a way to incorporate AI into your business endeavors, there's money to be made. I like following the flow of money. I don't know about everyone else, but wherever the money's at, I'm trying to find a way to make it. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to keep it very simple. As the questions come in, just let me know what your thoughts are. I'm very competent in this space. I've been doing a lot of research into it and figuring out how we're going to expand with AI, but let me get into it. So first of all, who am I? I like to address every speech I'm giving with why you should even listen to me. So I'm on the younger side. You heard my age, but I've been doing entrepreneurship for the last decade. I started my first business at 14, which is kind of cool because we recently hit number 14 in the App Store charts, right behind Uber, see some other billion-dollar companies there. But we've been doing well with Jobify. And entrepreneurship has been my game for the last decade. It's all I've known. It's all I've really cared about. I had Division I scholarships to go play in the States for soccer. So I also had soccer, but my path was more entrepreneurial. I ended up dropping out of school, pursued business full-time, and it worked out really well for me. That's why I do my speaking tours, because I think in 2023, going forward, there's so many ways to make money and monetize your passions. That's why I try to tell the youth not to drop out, because I think school is good for some people, but to open their minds up to the possibilities of what life can be. Now, with Jobify, we launched a couple years ago with the idea. Our official MVP was in the market last year. And within this 1 year period, we've accumulated millions of views online, social media, getting downloads everywhere. We're operational across every state and province. We've made our users upwards of $17 million contributing towards yearly wages for young people. So we're doing impressive work in the youth space. And as AI entered the sphere, we said, wait a minute, there's an opportunity here. So I'll speak a little bit about what we're doing with AI now, so it gives you context for the whole conversation. Artificial intelligence we haven't seen a technical revolution like this since probably the iPhone. coming out and the internet being accessible to everyone in their pocket. What AI is going to do is it's not going to eliminate jobs if you're competent and able to keep up with the innovations. AI will eliminate the mundane tasks of what we have going on. So with Jobify, we're actually creating a new product that will be focused on reverse engineering any path a teenager wants to get into. So let's say some of you in here have kids, right? A common problem even all of us could relate to when we were 14 probably. What do I do with my life as I get older? It's not just about having an entry-level job, but maybe you want to be a pilot when you graduate from school. Cool. What Jobify is going to be able to do with artificial intelligence is take the data these users give us, whether they say, hey, I'm good at math, or I'm an introvert, or I have a single parent household, or I'm good at this thing. It's going to take all that information, calibrate it into our system, and then reverse engineer how they can get into that career path, the opportunities attached to it, the schooling involved, certification, internships, mentors, full ecosystem. And we're only doing that through artificial intelligence. It's made it possible. So that's what we're up to. With artificial intelligence, I think there's a lot of fear going on right now. I think people see the negative side of artificial intelligence. That's what I'll address today. I think there's a lot of fear mongering going on. The robots are going to take over, et cetera, et cetera. But if we look at our modern day lives, AI exists everywhere already. It's just a trendy topic right now. If you look at your phone and you have the apps downloaded, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you use, first of all, the algorithm's set to include artificial intelligence to cater to your likes. Whatever you like on the feed, whatever you're engaging with, that's artificial intelligence. This is machine learning. This makes it possible so it shows you stuff you actually want to see. That's why TikTok's so addicting. If you have younger people in your family or audience, you'll know how addicting it could be. Netflix, maybe you watch some movies. Everything you see on your home screen to the recommended videos you should be watching on there, that's all content enabled through artificial intelligence. They see what you're engaging with. They see what you like. Some platforms actually take it as so far to, you see the little camera on your phone, or if you're on a laptop, the webcam, the camera on your phone, iPhone, Android, whatever it is, that camera is scanning your face as you're watching these videos. So if you're on TikTok scrolling for hours, it's scanning your face to see how do you react to certain videos, hashtagged entrepreneurship. Are you sitting there just smiling? Or are you sitting there with a sad face on? So it'll pick up your reactions live in real time. And it'll say, okay, this user from this demographic with this data around them doesn't like this type of content. Let's not show them that anymore. That's why the feed is so sophisticated. It's grabbing so much data from you. And most of us probably didn't even know that. I only know this now because I've done a real deep dive into how machine learning, artificial intelligence works, natural language processes, like all of this different stuff is really sophisticated and can be scary, but I'll get into that. Can I get a sense in the chat who's heard of ChatGPT? Any of you heard of that going around lately? I can't see the chat fully, but I'll assume people know what it is. I'm assuming you know what it is. If you're in business, you've probably heard of ChatGPT. And if you've had the chance to interact with it, now it's more of a freemium model where they're charging. But in its early days, I spent hours on this thing and I was talking to it about everything, how to ask, where to take out my girlfriend for dinner, where to, how to start a new venture in the business. Like it could literally answer anything in real time. You could give it a prompt, say, hey, I'm bored today. What should I do? These are my interests. And in real time, it would spit back an answer. So this was an impressive innovation through OpenAI, which is, Deca's $1 billion worth of company. So they're actually being invested, they're getting investment from Microsoft. And they created this tool that is opening resources for everybody. What I'm going to get to later in the conversation is the tools being built off of this technology. They're accessible to everyone in this room, everyone listening from home. The technology has made it so that I don't know how many people in here know what an API is, but basically, to put it simply, you'll be able to leverage the existing technology that this company has built and utilize it for your business ventures. You won't have to build anything. There'll be a little building, I shouldn't say that, but you won't have to create some artificial intelligence powered software from scratch. This is the technology and it's here for everyone to use. That's why there's so many new companies coming up in the artificial intelligence space, and they're being thrown millions of dollars just for having an idea. It brings me to my point. I've spoken a little bit about, the potential use cases of like how it can benefit a business. But there is a downside if you let there be. Should you be afraid of it? So I put a couple pictures up of the evil robots, because that's what everyone seems to be relating to. Everyone thinks this is where humanity's headed right now. Yes, there's negative people in the world who can use this technology for bad, but I think there's also people who will look at it as a chance to accelerate our innovations as a species. So if we don't look at the bad side only, let's think about the good side. The bad side would be they take over because they come too smart. Well, what if we evolve with technology? This is constant human evolution. Everyone was scared of, no, there's actually a video going around of Bill Gates explaining what the internet was a couple decades ago. And everyone was laughing at him. And he was sitting there in his glasses and sitting on stage and everyone was laughing at him. And now look at us. So I think it's in a similar situation where we're going to look at artificial intelligence as something that's going to take over humanity. But because we're survivors and no one wants to go extinct, we're going to evolve with technology. The people who don't evolve with it and just stay in a constant state of fear, which is why I'm doing this presentation today, I think those are the people who have something to worry about. I'm not going to lie to you and sit here and say the same jobs are going to be available or the same business opportunities are going to be available in a decade from now. I think you have to take advantage of what's going on. I think you have to do a lot of research. I think you should be reading, watching videos, listening to podcasts. I think you should look at your business and say, what do we have going on that is repetitive, mundane stuff that I shouldn't even be doing day to day in the first place? Like, why am I writing a blog post when ChatGPT could write a blog post for me in a minute? Actually, less than a minute, if I give it the right prompts. And I'm going to get into how you could fully utilize this, but I don't want anyone to think on the worst extremes of the spectrum because no one here wants to go extinct. So I think humans are going to be smart with the way we evolve this technology and how we integrate it into our daily lives. But of course, there will be anomalies. It's just a picture of Will Smith. I'm sure we've all seen iRobot. Now, my slides are pictures. I don't like to use a lot of words. But the next portion of this presentation, because I do want to leave enough time for Q&A. I'm sure a lot of people have questions and how they relate to their business. I like doing Q&A. I don't like just sitting up here lecturing you. So I want to get to that as fast as possible. This will speak to how you can use AI day to day. You don't even have to have a tech business. I'm going to show you how you can integrate artificial intelligence into, you could even run a storefront and it relates to you. So there's a few tools. I've listed 10, but I'm going to go one by one. Just move this over. So the first one is called Design Evil. Let's think about business owners who have a new idea, a new concept. You've always wanted to make a logo, right? That's the first thing you probably think of, one of the first things you think of when you're creating a business. You're like, okay, what's my logo going to be? It's got to be flashy. Something if I show my sister, my auntie, it's going to look cool. This artificial intelligence powered software will do that within minutes. If you give it the colors you want, the certain prompts you have in mind, the words you want to use, it'll browse tens of thousands of templates that they already have. It'll take your information you're putting into the system, and it'll spit you a bunch of different options. And usually you'd have to pay, unless you're using Fiverr, but it's not too reliable if you're using someone overseas, maybe they don't get your vision. This allows you to have full creative control over your vision, and you could tweak it as it spits out different options. So this is really cool. I think this is something everyone could relate to. We've all made a logo for our business or had someone make a logo, and now you could do it, honestly, within a fraction of the time and probably way cheaper. Number 2, Jasper. Jasper was one of the early pioneers of this AI space. A few years ago, they actually launched and were beta testing copywriting. So when you think of copywriting, let's say you're running advertisements in your business, whether it's on Facebook, Google, newspaper, wherever it is. Jasper was allowing businesses to, similar to all of these AI tools, they take the information you give and they spit back a better version of that. So let's say you wanted to run an ad targeting, I'll use Jobify's example, targeting high school students in Oakville. What Jasper would be able to do is break that down and give you the right copy you'd need to reach an audience like that with the right language, because language matters, right? I could speak to you professionals a certain way, but I'm not going to speak to teenagers a certain way and use fancy words and describe things the same way. So a tool like this would allow you to have a more sophisticated approach depending on your audience. And I think that's very important with the language you use, because as professionals, you should be communicating a certain way with whoever you're trying to reach. So it's a very cool tool. Stock AI, number 3. It's number 3, right? Can't see my screen fully. Sorry, that's number 4. Skipped one, my bad. Beautiful.ai. So Beautiful.ai is a cool one if you do presentations. If you've ever wanted to create a presentation, even something like this, right? I took a couple hours to make this. As simple as it is, it still took me a couple hours to get the right pictures, size them, etc. Beautiful AI, found it after, unfortunately, does presentations for you within minutes, and it makes it very easy. You tell it what you want, the types of images you want. You can imagine how this artificial intelligence, these types of tools make your life so easy. And this is what I want people to pay attention to. Everyone's looking at the worst case scenarios, but no one's really looking at the day-to-day. How can I eliminate paying someone $80 for a couple hours to make me a pitch deck or a logo or whatever you're paying them, and instead have an AI system do it for free or pennies on the dollar? I think every business is looking at bottom line, and if you could find ways to streamline things, you should keep it in mind for yourself. So here's number 4, stock AI. AI generated stock photos. So let's say you've wanted to use photos that, so they're still in the early phases. I won't lie to you here. They, as you could tell with the images, they do look, either they look really high quality, like someone had a $10,000 camera, or you could tell it's generated through AI. But as they develop this technology, it become more useful for everyday people. They provide you with photos. I don't know, let's say you're running Instagram posts and you need a photo of a Jamaican lady eating something on Eglinton West, right? I don't know what you need, but let's just say that was a scenario and you wanted to use that to target a certain demographic you're trying to reach. You could probably get something using stock AI, inputting certain things you're looking for, typing in certain prompts, and it'll spit back different versions of that. And you could adjust the background, you could adjust the setting, and it'll look very high quality. But depending on what you're looking for, I'd really look into this for all your marketing efforts. Something very easy to use, not intimidating at all. Genie.ai. So if you've ever done research as business professionals, you probably don't have a lot of free time on your hands. I know I don't. I actually don't even have time to read anymore. I listen to audiobooks, just always on the go. I can't sit there for 8 hours reading pages anymore. So a tool like this summarizes everything you're trying to read, whether it's blogs, articles, reports, anything you need information on, it will summarize it in real time for you. Let's say, actually, I'm guilty of this in high school and university. When we get books to read, and I was training for soccer, trying to run startups. I was like, I just need to summarize. I'll go to Spark Notes, which was a tool, not AI powered, but it was a tool that summarized the information. This is doing that for the business world. Let's say you read tech reports daily and you want it summarized while you're having your coffee in the morning. This could be a tool for that. A lot of these AI tools have a free version that you could test it out. Some of them are paid, but none of them are really too expensive. I think you're looking at $20 to $50 for most of these tools per month. And if you look at the money that saves you and the time it saves you, I think I would pay anything for these tools. Even ChatGPT, when people are telling me they're going to charge $42 a month, whatever they're charging, said that's totally worth it. They could charge me $2,000 a year, I'd still pay it because I know how much time it's saving me. Synthesia. This one's getting some buzz. They've raised a lot of money to, the simplest way to put what they do is if you're trying to make a video on your website, let's say on your website, you want to explain a certain recipe you have or a certain process or service you're providing. They'll be able to take an AI avatar and explain it for you. So maybe you're not comfortable on camera. I know not everybody is. It's a very tough skill. And maybe you're more introverted. It'll take a person, if you see on the right side, that's their, I guess that's their bot that they've been using. Recently, that looks like a robot. You could kind of tell that doesn't look like a human, but recently they've actually developed more human-like figures to be used in these videos. So all these AI tools are very early, but you're going to see within the next year as they get more funding, more testing, how advanced they become and how realistic they become. So any picture you see here, if it looks like a robot, just keep in mind the technology is still being fully developed. It's just keep an early eye on it. They make these videos very easy. You could try it for free. Explain any video you want. Maybe you just want to tell people, hey, on my website, this is how you sign up for my course, or this is how you join my free webinar next week. And it'll explain it in video. It's more engaging instead of just having text there. Pictory. This is cool. This is one I like because we do a lot of content with the businesses I run. Every venture I'm involved with as an advisor or operator, social media is at the top of our mind always. And with Pictory, it will take the videos you have. Let's say you have a long form video. I don't know, you recorded a podcast. It's an hour long. Instead of sitting there chopping up 30-second clips for TikTok, Facebook Reels, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, this technology will take that long form segment you have, and based on what you tell it to do, it will break it up for you. So say, okay, from 8 to 15, I know I was talking about this. I want short form video in these clips. It'll break it down for you, and you won't even need to hire a videographer. So it's still very early stages. Once again, I just have to keep stressing that because I know some people are going to go and test it and see how it works. I'm not vouching for it 100% right now. I'm just showing you the tools that as they evolve, they'll become more sophisticated and very useful to you. In the early stages, you'll have to work with it a bit more. You'll have to, maybe it won't spit out exactly what you were looking for, but if you give it the right prompts from there, it'll get it closer to perfect. So just work with it and you'll see how easy it is. It's way better than paying videographers, hundreds of dollars an hour to edit the same type of stuff. This could do for a fraction of the price. Got a couple more here I'm going to show you, and then I do want to open it up for questions before I talk about anything else. But Brand 24, this is cool because as a business owner, you always want to keep an ear to the streets, so to say. You want to hear what people are talking about your competitors, what people are saying about your business. Maybe there's negative reviews, positive things. You want to catch them while they happen. You don't want to wait a couple months and be like, oh, someone tweeted about us. That's cool. But it's lost that moment, that flair. So you want to catch it in real time. Brand 24 allows you to do that. If you sign up with them and you put all your information, sign up with the business, etc., you'll be able to see what people are talking about based in your industry, the competitors in your industry, and you'll see what people are saying about you. Very cool tool. I say that about all these tools because they really are fascinating. And these are only 10 of them. I have a list of probably a couple hundred, but for the sake of time here, I've only listed 10 that I think could be relevant to everyone. Now we have Otter. This is an assistant. So if you've ever done a Zoom meeting, even like this, Otter will take the full version of it. It'll break it down to summarize what's important. It'll share it with all of your team. And you tell it what's important at the end of the day because you're inputting, hey, I need this summarized. We're talking about marketing or we're talking about sales. And instead of you sitting there taking notes, looking up and down from the screen, Otter does that for you within seconds. Useful in my opinion. And the last one for now, Smart Writer. Personalized emails through AI technology. Instead of you sitting there figuring out how to, say you're targeting real estate agents, you want to do business with them. They live in a certain demographic, they sell a certain percentage of houses, they sell them for this amount of dollars, whatever the case may be, whatever info you have on them. Smart Writer will take that information, reverse engineer how you want to reach out to these people and what's the end goal, and say, I think this is how you should reach out to them. This is the most effective. Because with all these AI tools, ladies and gentlemen, the AI system is taking information that's been on the internet since the dawn of the internet up until the last year or so. And it's constantly going to be refreshed, but it's taking information of what's worked and what hasn't worked. So the reason artificial intelligence is so smart right now and faster than humans is because our brains, we have to live through experiences, we have to read, take information. The AI within seconds has access to the internet as a whole. So that's why it's faster and more effective. And I think if you work with the AI, instead of being scared of it, you can leverage that information and that speed, which is my favorite word in business, speed. So before I get into anything else, Moy, I do want to answer any questions or any thoughts. I've talked a bit here, but yeah, I'll just leave it open.
And it was great information. Thank you so much. Is your presentation complete or?
No, depending on time. I mean, I have more I could talk about, but I do want to give a chance for anybody to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to Ryan's question then. Ryan says, can you elaborate on prompts and the importance of input you give AI?
I think it's the main piece of the puzzle here. I think when you look at the opportunities in artificial intelligence, the world we're about to enter, it's going to move fast. And what's going to matter, what's going to rise to the top as information becomes commoditized. What I mean by that is information is going to be accessible to everyone. Everyone's going to have access to the same tools here. Everyone's going to have access to using it in whatever way they want. And as that information becomes accessible to everyone, the only thing that's going to make you stand out now is creativity and innovation. So knowing what questions to ask the artificial intelligence system is going to matter the most, because you could have an 8-year-old use ChatGPT, but will they be as effective as a 40-year-old who's a professional in their field? Definitely not. They just won't know what to ask. They have the same information, same tool, but knowing what to ask is where the key is going to come in here. So prompts are very important. You have to know your stuff on top of having this information. Absolutely.
And it was mentioned last week as we introduced technology that while it's not, business planning is very much a part of the implementation of technology and AI into your systems. Because as a business owner, you need to know what your business is doing, what it offers, who your demographics, right? So I think that goes right in line with what the speaker was saying last week. So thank you so much for that. I'm not sure if this is a question. When I read my story into, Otter AI, it types, "What happens next?" Question mark.
What's the question? Are they trying to figure out how to work with Otter?
I think so. We can get back to that. Mona, maybe you can just sort of elaborate a little bit about what it is that you're asking. But Tamara wants to know, how can we get funding for our AI ideas? Does that mean investors own it?
When you say own it, I'm not sure what you mean, but yes, if people are putting money into your company and they're taking equity for it, they are partial owners. So depending, I mean, you could go for grants, but those are slower. In Jobify scenario, when we first started Jobify, I'll give you some context into my own businesses. When we first started Jobify on the youth-focused career side of things, investors were tough to come by. The minute I mentioned we're in artificial intelligence and we're top 10 in the App Store and all this hype's around us, investors are hitting me up. Like before this call, I was on an hour call with an investor in San Francisco, and then I got to fly to Miami and go meet people. Like the attention around AI right now, you've never had more leverage as a founder. And it's why we made a certain pivot, because we saw the money being thrown at the space. And I think markets work in waves. You have to look at investors as they have an investment thesis. They look at the industry, where the world's headed. They say, okay, I'm going to believe in artificial intelligence companies right now. Anyone who's in an artificial intelligence space in this sphere, I'm going to throw money at it. I'm going to throw money at 50 different projects. One of those projects out of the 50 is going to hit, and it's going to make my return worth it. So they play the game of numbers. They're not just saying, you know what, this is a cool founder, I'm only going to invest in one and hope it works out. That's not how investors work. They look at it as a whole of the industry. And if you're trying to raise money, I would say find a way to position your company with leverage. Yes, you might get lucky and just have an idea and be like, hey, investor, I have an idea. I think it's cool. You want to invest in me, depending how you pitch it. I would say where it gets real interesting is if you have leverage. So for us, we have an existing user base. We've tested, we beta tested with 20% of our user base and an AI tool that's not fully sophisticated yet, but we have the data to show that people want it. This is how you build more leverage, right? Investors are a game of leverage, the same way anything in life is. You have to go to them instead of begging. I think you have to go to them from a position of strength and say, this is what I got. It's being done with or without you. Do you want in? If not, Jimmy down the street's going to invest. And that's the attitude you have to carry forward. But yeah, let me know what your idea is. Maybe I could help more. Or like not the full idea, but where the train of thought is.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for that, Mr. Good Vibes. I will just mention though, Stephanie's comment, community space will address angel investors and venture capital. Tune in to ask questions about investors, and you'll hear more about that at the end of the program. Diane wants to know, do you have to worry about the AI you are using? Do you have to worry about how the AI you are using was taught? I mean, whatever data it was trained with. Is that something that we ought to be concerned about? I think that's a good question, though.
That's a great question. I think you're going to have to look into the people making these things. For most of these tools out right now are backed by venture capitalists. So there's people who have a vested interest in these companies succeeding. And if you look at artificial intelligence, I'll give you I guess I'll reveal some sauce here, some insider information into the space.
Bring the sauce.
These AI companies are going to make money one way for the most part. It's going to be data, right? And even at our scenario, without speaking too much into what we have going on, I'm just going to speak from a higher broad level. A lot of these companies are going to monetize off of data. If you look at the tools being offered for free, you'll look at them and say, wow, this is amazing. I want to use it. It's free. What do I have to lose? If it's free, you're the product. So I don't want to make anything scary, but the more information you're giving something, obviously it's being collected in a certain way, and that's being monetized probably, if it's not now, 10 years from now. So just, yeah, be mindful of what you're using. Make sure you look into what you're using, the people behind it. Be safe. I wouldn't go putting your credit card information anywhere, just the obvious things, right?
Absolutely. Thank you. Stephen Dorsey, where are you finding success in raising capital in Canada? And which sectors do you think are most promising for application growth for AI?
There's a few funds. We're personally focused on the States. Majority of our user base is in the States. We're dominating markets in the States way more than we are in Canada. We've taken all our attention there. So I speak with people from San Francisco, Florida. So I can't speak fully on the Canadian side. I don't want to give you the wrong information. However, from people I've spoken to, I've seen there's different funds going on. If you have an AI idea, I think there's one called Next AI. A few of them are slipping my mind right now, but if you type in on Google Canadian AI funds, I found a list of like 100 or 50 to 100, and I wasn't even trying to find Canadian investors. So just quick Google search, you'll see a bunch of different funds there. I think even the DMZ, Ryerson has something going on for like supply chain AI, something like that.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Lauren, you have your hand up. Are you able to turn your camera on, or maybe we can just unmute you? You can ask your question.
Yes, hi, sorry. My question is for Tony.
Yep.
So Tony, what you previously said about I guess being mindful of the information that you're giving to these apps. So how and also just researching like the people that you get in business with, like, so how can we be mindful of the information we're putting into apps without losing without I don't know how to say this, but sometimes like you can't use the app unless you like input your information, right? So how can we be mindful and still be able to access that app? That's what I mean.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I got you. It starts with anything you do on the internet. Let's say you have an Instagram account, you're giving them your information. You're putting your email, your name, whatever. They're seeing all the people you follow, your contact list. All these companies already have tremendous amounts of data on all of us. And we scroll through the terms and service, and most of us don't even read it. I know I don't. I'm just like, okay, sign up next. So they have everything they want on us. And if you actually read it, it's quite scary what some of these companies are collecting. They have access to the devices in our homes, if it's connected through technology. They have access to everything. So everyone's already watching. The only thing I'd be mindful of using artificial intelligence is very, very sensitive information, like I said, your credit card, social security, if you're in states, social insurance, like that, those types of stuff. But trust me, anything that you're inputting into the system, chances are they already have it on all of us. So there's not much we could even do about that at this point anyways.
Okay, thank you for answering my question.
Perfect, thank you. And I think we'll just go back briefly. I'm not sure if you'll be able to help in this scenario, but Mona just wants to, I guess she was clarifying her statement. I have begun to speak my story into Otter AI. It was typing as I read. What generally is the next step that Otter AI would take? Is that something you can answer now?
Is she using the right one? Because she said she's putting her story. I know Otter AI. I don't have the full context on what she's
Yeah. So
doing,
that's fine.
but I don't know. I would say play with it instead of me. I don't want to waste too much time. I don't know what other questions are, but I would say if you're playing with Otter, I've checked their website. They have a lot of instructions there to use it for free. Just follow the prompts, check out some YouTube tutorials. It should summarize everything you're looking for, but I know it's meant for like Zoom meetings, and instead of you typing stories in there, I think it's meant more for like taking the information you get from meetings and working from there, but just play around with it more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that advice goes to all of us. I mean, there are some cool apps that you've shared. And for those of us, especially who are not as adept to technology, it really is just a matter of playing around with it. I'm not sure if Tony has any other advice in terms of.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't want to sound like I'm brushing it off or I'm trying to
No,
rush,
not at all.
I'd say for all of these tools, actually, just literally go through their website. It's all available on the website. Go through them, literally read if you're not as technically inclined, just spend some time watching the tutorials they have on their website, fully understand their service and product offering, browse YouTube for tutorials, see what people are saying online, just do the further research, because I'm just telling you what the tool is. It'll be up to you to actually dive in there and really understand it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And I think Milton wants to know, could you talk about AI image generators such as Midjourney, pros and cons, please? Is that something you're able to do with us today?
Yeah, I mean, from a broad perspective, I think those are very cool. We saw Lensa AI take over social media because it was generating artificial intelligence. Like, say this picture of me right here, right? Say I took a selfie. For those of you who don't know, Lensa was a tool that I could take this selfie and now it would make me look like a Roman gladiator, make me look like an NBA player, whatever I wanted it to look like, it would make me look like that within seconds. So I think all these image generators and things going around, that's just a glimpse. That's a glimpse of what AI is capable of. That took the world by storm. I think the next wave was seeing what ChatGPT could do. And that, once again, the fastest product to reach the user base it reached in terms of speed. I think this is just the start. People have no idea what's coming. I think everyone's looking at these tools as like mind-blowing. Because I'm a little bit more in the space, I see what's being worked on behind the scenes, and I see what people are up to and where everyone's head's at, and where the investors are putting dollars into. AI is literally, like, we had a big wave with this crypto wave and Web3, and I think that's great. And I think the blockchain has some practical uses, but I think AI is just at a whole different level. I've never seen this much hype around something in a long time. This is there's gonna be a lot coming out in image generators, smart copywriters. That's just the start, my friends.
That's amazing. Thank you. What I would suggest, Tony, if you're okay with this, maybe just completing your presentation. We'll bring you back on screen because we do have a couple other questions from the audience members, and I presume there will be more coming as well.
Yeah, my presentation, honestly, I like to just, I'm a man who has contingencies. So I just literally, if I ran out of time or if people didn't have questions, I had more AI tools to go through. A little bit less in depth, but they're just, I'll go through them quickly. Patent Pal, if you want to file a patent for anything you have, this makes it very easy to do that, takes out of the legwork out of that. So then you have Poised, which is cool if you're in public speaking environments, even something like this. It'll take the recording and it'll say, this is how many ums you had, this is how you could fix your public speaking or speaking patterns. Yeah, it's not fully, I'd say they're beta testing it, but from what I saw, it's pretty cool. And the capabilities it has, you might want to look into if you speak a lot or you want to work on that. Quillbot is great for writing. It's another Jasper. I went through an earlier tool. It's kind of similar. There's a lot of these like copywriting tools going around right now. Design Beast was pretty cool if you're up to video animations and effects, if you need something done for some social media campaign, anything like that, instead of paying an animator thousands of dollars, Design Beast makes it rather simple. And Runway was just basically Photoshop. That's the simplest way to put it, not too crazy. Oh, this is a cool slide. I'm a big fan of Iron Man. If anyone's seen the superhero movies, something I like about Iron Man is always innovating. I think the times we're entering, just don't get left behind. The simplest way I could put it is it's here, it's happening. We can't put our head in the dirt and say, I hope it goes away. It's here to stay. There's too much money being thrown around. It's becoming $1 trillion industry. It's only going to keep growing. 2025 is projected to hit crazy numbers in terms of all the money involved in it. Yeah, you got to figure out a way to involve it in your business, or sadly, it won't be pretty if you're not able to adjust with the times. But that's why we do these presentations. We're here to help.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Is that the end of your slide? That is amazing.
Yeah, I had a bonus. Yeah, we could go to Q&A. I don't want to give them too many tools here and people forget what I'm talking about.
And become overwhelmed as well, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's bring you back onto the screen, Tony. Let's bring you onto the virtual stage. I think that was incredible, the information that you've shared. And technology, I would say safely that it wasn't necessarily my thing, but these past few presentations have certainly ignited somewhat, I'm not going to say passion, I'm not there yet, but definitely an interest within me. So I thank you so much for that. Now, we do have another question. Tony, can you walk us through some of the challenges and how you launched the Jobify app?
Cool, for sure. I know I saw probably like a couple dozen people join after I gave an intro, so I'll just go back a little bit about me. Bear with me.
And for those of you, while you do that, Tony, I just want to welcome again, for those people who joined afterwards, you're taking part in the tech series here. This is session 2, we're demystifying AI. And Tony's breaking it all down for us. So thank you so much for that.
Cool. So a little bit about me is I run Jobify, CEO of Jobify, which is a mobile app that helps young people start their careers, entry-level work. We help the teenagers get started in life, be productive members of society. The simplest way to put our startup journey is it was based off of me doing youth speaking tours across North America for the last few years, sponsored by Burger King and Dave & Buster's, to go and motivate these kids through my story and experiences to say, yo, you can do anything you want in life. And I don't mean that in the corny kind of cliche way. I mean it in like, you got to work hard. There's going to be trials and tribulations. but what alternative do you have in life? Like, you're going to sit there and complain and be a victim, or are you going to get up and actually make something of your life? And that's the energy I brought to these schools. The students loved it, went viral across social media channels, got a lot of attention on my name. That's how I got sponsors. And I created Jobify because I saw these kids were telling me, okay, Mr. Good Vibes, like, motivation's great, amazing, cool, we love you. Can you put money in our pockets? I looked at the market, Indeed, LinkedIn, Monster, everyone's focused on the adults. All these companies focused on people who are already kind of, older. No one's focusing on the next the next generation, who's going to be the future of society. So I decided to take it into my own hands. I decided to say, all right, someone's got to create a platform. Someone's got to do it today. I didn't even have a technical background. I said, all right, I'm going to learn it, because that's just the kind of guy I am. I learned enough to build our first version of the app. I'm more marketing, pitching, sales. I like being in people's faces. I can't sit behind a desk too long. But I learned enough to get our first version live, to get attention on what we had going on. Then I built a team around that, made some money, got access to resources, partners, just built a whole team and ecosystem around what we have going on, and scaled from there. But with Jobify, this is a little outdated. We hit top 10 in the App Store last week. We are right behind Indeed in terms of rankings. So we're moving pretty quickly for a company that started just over a year ago. But it's because I've had access to school boards, social media, millions of views. It's easier to start when you're not starting from zero. That's why I advocate for everybody to have a strong personal brand, which is be vocal in your space. It gives you tremendous opportunities. To finalize this topic here, Jobify is entering the AI space. For those who missed it, we have a tool being built out through artificial intelligence technology that will reverse engineer any career path a teenager wants to get into from the time they're 13, 14, 12, whatever it is, and will provide the opportunities on top of that. So if you want to become an architect, you're going to see the certifications, the schooling, the internships, the entry-level jobs, mentorship, et cetera, needed to get into that. And based on your area, we'll provide the opportunities on top of that. So we're heavy in the AI space right now. We're evolving our product as we speak, and that's what we have going on day to day.
Incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that. Let me ask you, because I don't know if you didn't mention challenges. Did you have any challenges that you?
Sorry about that. I totally glanced over the question.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, we had a lot of challenges, as you can imagine. I mean, my life is entrepreneurship now. I literally wake up, just do some martial arts training, then I get right to work. And by the time I go to sleep, I have a new set of problems to deal with. So the biggest challenge I would say we've had is when we first launched. We were only operational in Toronto, because very hard to have job opportunities across all of North America when you're a fresh company. Indeed took years to get to that point, right? So, but when you're working with the teenage market, they don't have patience. They're not on TikTok seeing a video with a couple million views saying, okay, you know what? Those guys have time to build it out. They're saying, if this thing isn't in my city, you're useless to me. They're not patient. They're used to working with the top tier apps in the world, YouTube, Snapchat. They don't have an understanding of what it takes to build a business, right? And the time it takes. So I'm not going to sit there as a founder and complain about it. As I saw these negative comments coming in, and I figured we have to do something. We had plans to go monetize and do other things within the company, but I took the team back. I said, we have a major problem right now. We are getting bombarded with negative feedback in terms of the user experience because we're only operational in a couple areas and our marketing is way too good right now. So seeing that problem, we figured out a way to fast forward the way we grab jobs in cities we're not in, because we needed more time to build out partnerships. And we built proprietary technology that would basically, off of the criteria we set for it, would be able to source jobs across all the internet in any location we wanted, specifically meant for teenagers, from any company, from any city. And that bought us some more time. So that was the biggest problem I could see, because we were in a real hurdle there. Other problems come up day to day, like key member of your team leaves. You got to figure it out, find someone new, learn a new skill set. There's so many challenges, right? I could speak about it all day.
Absolutely. No, thank you for that. And you're sharing so many nuggets with us today. Now, let me ask you a question. You have that for teenagers, but anything for the adults, because as we're changing and evolving into this new technological, it's not really new, but this technological world, it's ever evolving. Anything for adults who need to change their career path, maybe get into AI, because we do know more jobs are being created. Is that something that's on your to-do list, or?
That's a good question. I never say no. However, I know I'm a realist in terms of the world and business itself. I understand there's titans of the industry who cater to an adult market. And when we launched Jobify, it was never my intention to say, we're going to go take on Indeed head on. That's not smart to do that right away. I think if we wanted to, what we're seeing now is we started with high schoolers. We started with a very young demographic, entry-level work, retail, food and bev, simple stuff a teenager would want to work in. Then we said, okay, well, this audience is going to age up. And as our audience ages up, now we're looking at internships, career opportunities. That's why we're working on the AI tool. And we keep evolving. I won't rule out adults. I just think there's a lot of options out there already catered to that demographic. But who knows? I could wake up one morning and see an opportunity and change my mind and just go take over that sphere. But who knows, right?
Absolutely. But I also do agree with sticking with your demographic and allowing them to grow with you, right? I do believe in that. Lauren does have her hand up. Lauren.
Yes, I just want to say, Tony, this is amazing. Like, this is actually like an app that I was looking for. So I have a question about your app because I'm like, well, I'm not a teenager, but I'm a young adult. So I'm just asking, because I don't know if you mentioned this, like join later. Do you have like information, I guess, on internships and things like that are like towards my career path?
Not yet. That's the space we're looking at next. We wanted to dominate our early teenage market first. That gave us tremendous footing in the market. But we've seen there's been a huge demand, to your point here, there's been a huge demand of trying to get internships, career focused stuff. We thought we were just going to stay in the teenage sphere and dominate that and go for an early acquisition through one of the titans like Indeed or Monster. And we've actually, been in talks with people who want to merge or acquire Jobify. It's still too early in my opinion. That's why we're turning down these offers. But yeah, to your point, it's a space we're looking at seriously. There's tools out there. I don't know if you've heard of, I don't want to promote competitors. Can't be doing that, but there's definitely tools out there. If you do a quick Google search, I'm not going to co-sign them by saying them on a live Zoom here, but there's tools out there. There's definitely tools out there. Maybe they're not doing it as effectively as they could be, which is why now we're looking at it and thinking, okay, maybe we need to go into the university market. I have a lot of university connections. I'm basically university age. I'm 24. I'm like a couple years out from university. I think if I did a university speaking tour, I've seen the impact I have at universities and how students want to, hear about the entrepreneurial journey and what, just the fun university atmosphere. We're really considering it. So I could keep you posted. Unfortunately, that's not a space we've taken over yet, but it is on our radar and product roadmap.
Okay, thank you.
Incredible. Thank you. Ryan wants to know, what do you see as a way for business owners can use AI to build their personal brand?
Personal brand using AI. Okay, first thing that comes to mind, ChatGPT. If you're someone who's a business professional, if you want to post on LinkedIn consistently, now you don't have to worry about, oh, what do I write? I don't know what to think of, blah, blah, blah. I would use ChatGPT to, well, first of all, you have to know what questions, once again, to ask ChatGPT. You have to say, hey, ChatGPT, for my example, ChatGPT, I run a tech company, I'm 24 years old. This is what I like to do in my free time. This is the audience I'm trying to serve, et cetera, et cetera. Give me 5 blog post ideas around how I can provide value to marketers. This is my experience. And then it would reverse engineer whatever you want to spit. But that's one example. I'd say another example is coming up with cool creative prompts you can use if you're speaking like I'm doing right here. Maybe I wanted to use ChatGPT to come up with new ideas in this space I'm in. Maybe I needed just an extra little bit of creative juices flowing. And I look at ChatGPT as like my trusted friend and ally. I actually speak with it more than I speak with some humans. I just feel like it's smart, and I like having these high-level conversations. And I'm a big advocate for technology, but that I could be biased.
Yes. And I would expect you to say something like that. So thank you so much for sharing that. So ChatGPT is what it's called. I hope that's helpful to you, Ryan. We have another question here. For all these AI spaces, do we have to create a user account for each app or site, or is it one login for all spaces?
For the tools I showed?
Yes.
Oh, these are different companies. It's like the social media apps. You're gonna have to create new accounts. It's like Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube. You have to create different accounts, not owned by one conglomerate, so to speak. So yeah, but sign up process is rather straightforward.
Absolutely. Okay. And have you ever asked ChatGPT to ask you a question? That's from Ryan.
No, I haven't thought about it that way. I've talked to it about everything in my personal life, and it's given me great solutions. Yeah, it's kind of goofy. I don't want to get into it too much to steer this conversation a different direction, but yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It gives you a lot of different responses based on what you want to ask it.
I must say, though, that is a little bit scary for those of us who are a little bit more old school, but it's so incredible that you're able to do that. That's fantastic. We do have about 5 more minutes left. Maybe if you can stop sharing your screen, we'll bring you back onto the virtual stage. And we have time for one more question. Any other questions, please don't be shy. We have Mr. Good Vibes with us in our Tech Talk series. We're demystifying AI, and you've done such an incredible job at really just sharing with us some tools. Personally, I'm quite inspired, and I don't know, we'll see what the future holds for Moy and AI, but I certainly am inspired. Anyone else who's inspired? Am I the only one that's inspired by this conversation? Diane, we can open the mic and have you ask questions. Yeah, go ahead, Diane.
Saw Stephen had a question in the chat as well.
Yes, so okay, so let's get to Stephen's question first. Do you recommend to look south of the border for funding or growth?
100%. I think I love Canada, but as we all know, the US market, 10 times our size, more opportunities. I honestly, if I were you, I would really consider what you can do south of the border. Everyone I've done business with in United States, especially Florida, everyone just moves faster. I love speed, right? Like I don't like dealing with too much red tape. When I'm in a place like Miami, I tell people what I'm up to. They're like, okay, cool, bro. I run this business. Maybe me and you can do something here. What are you up to? Everyone in Canada, for the most part, I meet just moves at a different pace. And that's not everyone, of course. Even, I don't know how to say your name right. Someone in the chat, I don't want to mispronounce your name, but yeah, Canada is slow.
OJ, okay,
OJ?
yes. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Canadians like to research. Like, yeah, like everyone's moving slow out here. And that's why the States is just crushing everything. I think there's a different attitude out there. They're hungrier. I think we need to have that kind of mentality. And I think if we do have that mentality, it starts with communities like this. But sorry, I'm reading a question as it came in.
Yeah, I can read it out to you. It says, how do you not lose yourself in all the apps? How do you sustain your core values while being nimble and adapting to the new technologies? That's a very good question.
Good question. It's a good question. I don't want to lie. I think in a sense it will change you, but that doesn't mean you have to go from being a good person to a bad person. I just think you'll adapt with the times. Speaking from experience, I'm Mr. Good Vibes, right? I'm out here, it's for the kids, building all these cool products, launching these companies, servicing a demographic that needs it. I've looked at the opportunities, and while I think there's a negative connotation where if you're focused on trying to make money for your companies or growing or being capitalistic, like people think that's a bad thing. I think it's very important the companies I'm running make money, or else I'm not helping nobody. Who am I helping if the company's not profitable and we have no resources to grow? So I think you don't let these technologies change you. I think like money, it only amplifies who you already are. I think as you're using these tools, just be mindful. It is, I don't want to say a robot, but in a sense, it is a robot. It's not a live human being yet. It's not sentient. So yeah, don't get lost in the shuffle here, but just, yeah, hug your family, stay close to them, interact with the technology, but also care about the people around you.
Absolutely. I think that's great insight, but I'll also add as well, just from my own personal experience, I recently just got started with doing reels on Instagram. I know I'm late, but I found myself taking so much time to do that. And after a while, I really had to just, I said, no, this is taking too much time. So I think it's good to, before you actually get into all of this, of course, explore, but have a strong sense of values, core values. And I think once you see, and be emotionally intelligent as well, like know and understand where you are emotionally and how things are driving you, and be able, and that will enable you to actually, to say, okay, well, this is too much for me, and to take a break from it. So while you engage and embrace it, also be willing to take breaks, I think, because it can be a lot and it can take over.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, I'm full-fledged business technology. I live it, right? I have a phone addiction because there's always a message coming in, someone looking for me. Like I have to be on my phone. It needs to be accessible, but I do even take my breaks. Like I said, early morning, I like to do martial arts. That's my like safe space, work with other warriors, get away from technology, old school. Then aside from that, I have my fun as a 24-year-old. I'm running companies, but it's also fun, and you have to take time to enjoy life and all the things that come with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for that incredible presentation. Stephen says, thank you, Tony. Continued success.
Cheers.
And Milton, maybe we can take this. How will you deal with competitors who come knocking at your door in the terms of takeover moves?
I
Is
like
that
this
something you
question.
can-
I like
Yes?
this question. I'm
Okay.
in no rush. I know we have to end here at 1, but this talk is so fascinating to me. I want people to actually leave and like have something to do after the talk. So I'll answer this question.
Yes.
How do you deal with
certainly.
competitors come knocking at your door in terms of takeover moves? We've had that. We've actually had that. So as you can imagine, once you reach top 10 in the App Store, everyone's looking at you and saying, what's that Jobify thing going on over there? And who's this guy over there talking all this smack on LinkedIn and being all flashy? So we've had a lot of attention on us. I do it purposefully because with the attention comes opportunities, but it also comes people who are very shark-like and will see an opportunity and try and take food from your plate. And a couple weeks ago, I was telling a couple of people who were part of this call, this story. We had a competitor who's a billionaire. I'm on a Zoom with a billionaire. He runs like this big, once again, I can't co-sign. I don't want to give him too much attention, but billionaire runs a product in the youth space, saw what we were up to, reached out to me on LinkedIn. This is the CEO, not a guppy, like just CEO, straight CEO to CEO. And he was like, hey, Tony, see everything you're doing. Want to connect and see if there's any collaborations. But I know these people. You know, I've been running up businesses for the last 10 years. So I know these people, and I'm not giving them too much information as I'm having these conversations. I'm analyzing. I call this Aikido. This is old school back and forth. I gotta see your energy. You're seeing mine. It's like a chess game. And so he's getting information from me. I'm getting information from him. But long story short, I see he's looking at our sphere and saying, should I get into this? But what you might see from the outside is one thing. Internally, because I'm operating the business day to day, I know what the challenges are that you probably don't think about as you see as flashy Jobify teen space. You're like, oh, that looks sexy. Maybe I should try it. But there's 100 different things in the business right now that need to be fixed just as an operator standpoint. That I'm like, we could do this better. This needs to be scaled out. 2 years from now, this won't work this way. So I know everything that needs to be fixed. And a lot of competitors don't see that. And it'll take them a long time to realize that. And by the time they build it out and get the connections, they've wasted a lot of time. Well, we're already like, this is why we're on the AI wave, because a lot of our competitors see us as one thing, but we've already created innovations and a future roadmap that future proofs our operation here. Like we have new stuff going on that is going to blow our current product out of the water. While everyone's focused on like, maybe I should replicate that. You know, they just reached top 10 in the App Store. I could do that too. We're already working on like, oh, you guys are still on that. And by the time they catch up, like it's always a race of, they'll never catch up. That's why we're getting acquisition offers of people who want to say, yo, we'll buy the company at this phase right now. We'll keep you running it. We'll give you X amount of dollars, but pennies on the dollar for what I know we can get in 2 to 3 years from now.
Wow, wow, wow. So Sarah says, another great session. I find AI intimidating, but after this, I'm more willing to look at the opportunities it provides.
That's the
And
right attitude.
ultimately, yes, ultimately, that's the aim. Is it possible to set up a Calendly? That was my next question. How can we get in touch with you? Do you speak with individuals like ourselves, small business owners? Do you help to coach or to consult? And if so, how can we reach you?
I'm a businessman, right? Like I can, if it's, I'm happy to do sessions like these. If you want to talk one-on-one, I could set it up. Look, I dedicate my life to business. You want to talk, we could talk, whatever you're looking for, consulting, advice. I'll work with you. This is a very specific community here of people who look like myself. And I think we should all be growing together, but it's got to be worth it for both parties, of course. And I'll be very reasonable and try and help you the best way I can. But I guess, I don't know, you could email me, or Stephanie, we could put something out. I don't know what the easiest way to go about doing this is. Maybe I'll just drop my email in the chat.
Yes, Stephanie says we can do a Q&A through the BBPA. That's something that we can certainly do. Oh man, I'm so inspired and I feel full with this information, to be honest with you. Tony's information is in the chat. Feel free to reach out to him. Remember, he is a CEO of a multi-million-dollar tech company, so please have mercy. But you seem to like this stuff, Tony. You like the fast pace.
I love it. I love
like all of that.
I can't breathe if I'm not stressed out day to day. Like I can't breathe if I'm not doing business.
That's incredible. I love your energy, love your good vibes. And we've learned so much from you from a business perspective, from a technological perspective. And we look forward to having you back. Now, audience members, thank you so much for joining us. If we can just one more time, just big up Tony, big up Mr. Good Vibes. He's been excellent such an inspiration. At 24 years old, he's doing amazing, incredible things, not just here in Canada, but in the United States as well. So we'll be celebrating, well, not myself, but in Miami, they'll be celebrating Mr. Good Vibes Day on February the 15th. How incredible is that? As a mother, Tony, I want to say that I'm very proud of you. Kudos to your parents for the amazing work that they've done with you. And we want to see more. We want to see more of you. We want to learn more from you. So please, we look forward to having you back. Okay, thank you once again.
Thanks, everyone. Go out there, crush it. Let me know how I can help. Hopefully you get this recording. You see all the tools that are useful to you. Just don't be intimidated by it. Don't get left behind. Just work hard and use these tools to your advantage.
Absolutely. Thank you. We have a lot of thank yous coming up, and it's inspiring. As a college student, you are a big role model for myself. That's Matthias Beals. Thank you so much for saying that, Matthias.
Appreciate it. Everyone,
Yes.
take it easy.
Wow, 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 wow. Well, thank you so much for sticking with us. It's been an hour, but it's been an hour of just pure inspiration. And I'm just so, like I said, full just of all that I've been learning over the last couple of weeks in our TED Talk series. Please join us next week when we talk about cybersecurity, which is, I believe, some of the questions that we asked was really leaning towards cybersecurity. In the meantime, do join us for our community space on Saturday. And I believe there's a series running there as well, where they're talking about financial trauma, if I'm not mistaken. I don't see the visuals up as yet, but do join us for community space. It happens at 10 a.m. on Saturday. And then next week, we also, we're meeting here for AAP, Ask a Professional, where we get to speak with incredible human beings like Tony, Mr. Good Vibes. Oh, there it is. Okay, Investing for Your Future, Managing Money. That is Saturday, February the 11th at 10 a.m. with Yamila Franco. She's an investor and social entrepreneur. That's next week. That's this Saturday coming up. And then next week, I get to speak with Derace Rose. He's a co-founder and chief technology officer at Opos Incorporated. So that's February the 15th. That's cybersecurity and privacy. And that will close off our TED Talk series. Thank you, everyone. On behalf of the BBPA, I just want to extend my love and gratitude for joining us today. Thank you so much, Mr. Good Vibes. We love you, and we will see you again. Take care until next week.
Good luck.
The Business Advisory Implementation Development Service. The BATES program is a major step forward.
I believe in the economy of women. I believe in creating our own space, creating our own financial freedom.
How do you get business? How do you get financing? How do you get approved for government loans?
We have to understand and recognize what the barriers are. And then we work to break those barriers down.
We're going to sit with you and we're going to wrap you around the best experts we have.
So time is money. The more time you lose, the more money you're losing.
Success does leave clues. And if you pick up on those clues, you too can ascend in that same path.
As an organization, we've really made specific efforts to help you pivot so that you can thrive.